SQ, this is W9MGT here, come back. SQ, this is W9MGT here, come back. This is at 10:44 and I have something to say. Hello, and oh, the moment that I speak, the cat goes. Hello. So here I am with my cup of coffee. Happy Friday the 12th, I think. This has been a week of high expectations, I think, and because of the solar eclipse and new moon and everything, and everybody said, oh, because I'm a Libra, so many beautiful things would happen, and believe you me, nothing has actually really happened. I had some realizations, yes, I had some synchronicities, of course, in my morning readings, but, you know, not a new car parked outside, or a job, or a night in a shiny armor, or on a white horse. So what happened? I struggled to start. I felt that, let me see if I can actually explain this in an easy way. I felt that I was in a torrent, in a roaring torrent, with a lot of other people, and it felt like a rat race. Everybody was rushing and running, and the water was bubbling. There were stones and waterfalls, and the noise of, you know, like a very wide and dangerous and fast torrent. And at a certain point I decided to say, you know what, fuck it, and I stepped out and I decided to walk on the banks, leisurely, hands behind my back, like a sort of like a geography professor, as Noel Fielding would say, and just with my face to the sun, and just allowing everybody else to go on with the rat race. I just need to take a step back, and I took the time to actually sleep in a couple of days. I feel that I'm in a lot of pain. I've been over exercising myself, so I've got pain in my knees, in my hips, and I feel fidgety, and I just said, nope, not for me. And I devoted most of the time to the studying of the Bhagavad Gita and to do some work for my PhD. On the note of my PhD, I had a beautiful, wholesome supervision session yesterday with Lucy, and it was amazing. And the beautiful thing is that I feel heard, and I feel that my processing and the way that I process knowledge and the way that I approach research is accepted by her and by academia, which means so much to me. And so of this I'm very grateful. So on that side, I'm happy. I'm very, very happy. But then I had a bad news of someone whom was part of my life, part of my ex-husband's family, and this person is not feeling very well. And then I got angry because I wasn't told this directly, and I got into like a child mode, and I stopped my feet and said, why nobody came and tell me? And again, I think it's indicative of not feeling a sense of belonging, of course, to the family, to any family, by all means, besides myself, because I am my own family. And so that was a bit painful, but then of course I took a step back and I said to myself to just chill out for a second. But one of the realizations that I had was that I kick off at a certain point. Once I'm starting doing my own program, my own routine, my own morning things, I'm reading from this book, I'm reading from this other book, I'm doing my yoga, I'm doing my meditation, I'm doing my Hare Krishna chanting, I'm lighting my candle, I'm doing my incense, I got my coffee as an offering to Krishna, I'm doing all of these things, and then at a certain point, someday I just kick off. And the way that I used to be called as a kid, and only now I seem to understand it, is to be a Bastian Contrario. Bastian Contrario, or in my language, Bastian Contrari, is a person who, as I'm reading the definition from Wikipedia, a person who contradicts intentionally and deliberately for reason totally uncorrelated to the current issue, just for the sake of being an opponent. And this has been me. I feel that. Do you remember when I was talking in the episode, the dichotomy between Gaia and Artemis? I think that when I'm a bit too much into Gaia, I turn into Artemis, but the childish version of Artemis, and I sort of like kick off. I am probably because I'm scared, because I'm bored, because I feel that it's not giving me any return straight away. So I just rebel. And the funny thing is that I went back to the previous week when I decided to stick with a plan and see by sticking. So by the process of sticking, it doesn't matter the plan, by the process of sticking, if something good comes out of learning to stick. And so I actually had a bit of a chat with my childish Artemis, with my Diana, and I wrote in my journal, this is now my decision. We chant with the coffee, we do the meditation, we do the reading, we do some yoga, and this is now non-negotiable. And she chilled out. She just went and says, it probably was the very first time that actually I had a bit of a chat, and I took sort of like full charge of part of how I was working. But the important thing that I've realized is that, so in my reading, I read sometimes from, extra from the Bible. I've got these books which are like daily readings, daily meditations, etc. And one of the things that I really don't like, and I'm opposing against, is the idea of God is testing you, or you've got to be a girl, because if things go bad with you, is because God is testing you, because, i.e., you're not good enough, isn't it? You're not even good enough for God, so God is testing you. And I don't like that version of God the judge, in whatever shape or form or religion or dogmatic approach you want to put it in. I don't like that. I accept the idea of offering own suffering to God, but it's not God testing you. I think that there is a mixed match of so many different karmas overlapping, and it is up to us deciding who do I pledge allegiance to within all these karmas clashing. My car breaking down is not because God is testing me and see what I'm gonna do by walking on foot. It's not done on purpose. I think that not the testing, but showing what kind of a dough I've made of, is by which way I approach the negative occurrence, or what could be perceived as negative occurrence in the beginning, but actually in the end is not negative at all. Anyway, that's besides the point. What I'm trying to get to is how I see the offering of suffering, i.e., imagine, for the sake of the explanation, that we are divided into two parts. There is sort of like the Atman part, which is as Brahman, so the eternal, everlasting, never dying, never born and never dying, everlasting sort of side of Brahman within me. I know that Atman and Brahman in the end are actually one and the same, but let's for the sake of explanation, that my Atman is having a conversation with Brahman. There is like a push and pull. There is always a conversation between the two. It's like a remember that I'm here, I'm actually part of here, etc. On the other side, there is the mind-body structure and system within me, which instead is the one attached to life and could not care less about the Atman thing. Is the one of the rat race is the one of the I want money, I want a house, I want a husband who's rich, I want a nice car, and I want to live forever, and I don't want to suffer. That is the mind-body attachment and attached to life. So the moment that Atman and Brahman are having a conversation, the mind-body system feels like tugged, and that should obey to the Atman's decision of what is important and what isn't important. And at that point, the mind-body system reacts as a kid, because the toy, i.e. the worldly things, is taken away from them. So it's like if Atman is ruining my plans. I would like to go out tonight and have a bottle of wine with a friend, maybe find somebody to have some sex tonight and watch a movie and eat good food and get dressed and have everything flashy and beautiful and perfect. But Atman is reminding me that those are not the important things in life, and that there are things which are of a higher level. So mind-body reacts as a kid. That's my Artemis kicking off, isn't it? Being the Bastien contraire, somebody who's just been an opponent and contradicting and pulling on the other side. I think that the offering of the suffering of the mind-body becomes a way in which we take a step back and we observe this fight. I think that, potentially the fight within, the war within the Bhagavad Gita is that, isn't it? It's like an inner fight. So if I take a step back as an adult and look at at the mind-body reaction to the Atman, I hope I make sense in what I'm saying. I realize that the suffering of the attachment is what I feel, and hence that suffering of the attachment, I offer that suffering in my chanting to Krishna, or my praying the rosary, or whatever it is that I want to do to whatever God I have in front of me. And also, the more I kick off, that means that the more I kick off is because I am aware that there is a conversation between Atman and Brahman which goes on in the background. Does it make sense? I hope it makes sense to you listening, if anybody's listening. I know that it makes sense to me, and it gives me also a sense of understanding the reaction. I mean, don't get me wrong, I haven't got all the answers. I've got still loads of questions, and I don't even understand if all of this makes sense. One of the things, though, that I've realized is that there is a sense of different peace within me for having found the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. I loved chanting Namiho Renge-kyo. I didn't like the association. I didn't like a lot of the stuff that were given, or they were offered as given. I didn't like the idea of not having the jnana, i.e. The knowledge-based parts of the spirituality. Namiho Renge-kyo and the Soka Gakkai in this instance, they just say that if you're just chanting Namiho Renge-kyo, you know everything. And I always say, well, Namiho Renge-kyo is all about the Lotus Sutra. Who has actually read the Lotus Sutras? And I could not find anybody besides me who actually read the whole thing. So from my perspective, Advaita Vedanta is a better approach to how I see spirituality and how I perceive spirituality, with the 4 different strands of yoga. And one of them also includes the academic study, knowledge-based side, which then goes together with karma yoga, which is the action, bhakti yoga, and and Rama yoga. So having said that, chanting, and I only do one mala. I can't seem to be able to find not the time, but I'm just learning. So even finding doing 2 miles becomes like a bit too much for me. But I'm learning. So all of this to say is that I am on the banks of a torrent, and while everybody else is rushing around me, I am just taking the time. I am slowing down. I am reading the Bhagavad Gita. I'm following Swami Sarvapriyananda lectures online, which are a godsend. And as of now, I am enjoying a coffee. Wow. Next week, I will probably have to make up my mind about what to do with the car. So, well, stay tuned till next Friday. And having said this, I'll bid you farewell. By the way, just as a side note, if you want to see my short videos about reading page 99 from the books, they can be found here on, of course, YouTube. If you're listening to this podcast on YouTube, they are on YouTube, they are on TikTok, they are on Instagram. So just go and check them out. Okay, you have a lovely, lovely week. Ciao! You have listened to the voice of W9 in honor of the movie Contact, MGT or Matilde Gliubich Tomat. I'm mainly a researcher, an artist, a writer, and an existential psychotherapist based in the UK. You might want to check my website at matildetomat.com. That is matildetomat.com, and my Instagram account. This was W9MGT here, over and out.